Granby is a town in the north of Colorado. It is a small town, about 1/15 the size of Shelbyville, and it is home to many small businesses. Founded in 1904, the town has remained off the map for many years. It is an amazing destination for those that love nature. It has skiing, hiking, and many other things that those wishing for adventure to go do. It is home to small businesses such as the auto muffler shop owned by local handyman Marvin Heemeyer, the fishing store owned by Bernie, and the Granby Ranch. This location is a beautiful place to get away from the troubles of life and enjoy nature and small town living.
But even small towns can't escape tragedy.
The scene looked like moments ago. This is tape. This is when we first arrived on scene, and it looked like officers standing on a hill above this earth mover turned tank were firing some pretty heavy arms at him, trying to find a weak spot, trying to find some way to immobilize. This man was now on the east side of Granby in what's called an independent propane company yard. We thought for a time he might actually be taking out some of the propane tanks. He kind of looked like that's what he was thinking about, and then he took off and headed into the downtown area again. Now, if you'll stay with me, photographer David Gregg is going to fast forward some of the videotape, show you just a little bit of some of the crazy things that this man has done over the course of the past hour and a half. And again, we want to emphasize, at last check, when we were last over Granby about 15 minutes ago, he had been stuck inside the back end of the...
On June 4th, 2004, a horrific terrorist went on a vindictive rampage through the small town of Granby. A homemade tank made from a Komatsu D355A bulldozer, equipped with cameras, armored plates, and guns, barreled through Granby. The town crumbled as this homemade tank crashed through buildings, shot at police, and withstood gunfire and explosions. As the town people ran in fear, some rose up to fight back. There was a man named Cody Dochev, who attempted to fight the killdozer using a front-end loader. He delayed the attack by a bit, but was overall unsuccessful in stopping the killdozer due to the .50 caliber rifle used to shoot at him. The police attempted to stop the rampage once he began to close in on the town. The tank held up against multiple explosives and kept going through the fire of police officers. The town was in a panic. The governor was even tempted to use an Apache attack helicopter to take down the mobile war machine, but was denied. The town watched in horror as the tank plowed through the concrete plant, the town hall, a newspaper office, a former judge's widow's home, a hardware store, and other homes. In the end, the engine overheated, and the bulldozer was stuck in a building. As police closed in on the terrorist, a single gunshot was heard from within the tank. After 7 hours of trying to remove the armor from the bulldozer, the terrorist was revealed to be local handyman Marvin Heemeyer.
But wait, what would push a man to do this? What could drive him to destroy the town and people he loved? The answer may not be as clear-cut as you think. Marvin Heemeyer is described by many to be a reasonable man who was pushed to an unreasonable response. He was pushed by none other than the Granby government itself. In 1992, Marvin got land in Granby to make his new muffler shop, and was excited to start his new business. The government made promises to get him hooked up to the sewage, and all was good. Then, the government fined him for not being hooked up to the sewage. This was only the beginning of Heemeyer's problems with the government. In 2001, the government once again came along to rain on Marvin's parade. They approved the zoning of a concrete factory. While this wouldn't normally be a problem, the concrete factory was to be built to where it would block the only road to Marvin's business. This would cut off Marvin's business from the rest of Granby and suffocate his business into failure. Marvin went in front of the zoning committee multiple times, attempting to calmly plead his case. After his complaints fell on deaf ears, he decided he would take matters into his own hands. He purchased a Komatsu bulldozer and decided he would build a new road by himself. He went to the government of Granby for approval and was shot down. It became obvious that his business would be killed by the actions of the town's government. He decided the only thing he could do was to exact revenge against those that had wronged him, and in 2003, he began construction on his homemade tank. He believed that God willed this to happen, as multiple people visited his shop as he was constructing the tank, and none of them made any reference to it. He believed that God was on his side, and that he was chosen to stand up for the little guy. Once construction was completed, on June 4th, 2004, he went on his rampage. During his rampage, he mainly destroyed buildings of those that had wronged him, such as Liberty Savings Bank, Mountain Parks Electric Company, Maple Street Builders, Gamble's General Store, Granby Town Hall, the Sky High newspaper office, and Copycat Graphics and Printing, and he also destroyed the concrete factory that suffocated his business. Before the event, Marvin was described as your average friendly guy. He was the local handyman, he was a businessman, and he was a friend. However, not everyone viewed him in this way. A man named Patrick Brower had been involved in financial dealings with Heemeyer in the past, and claims that he was prone to overreacting. He states that Marvin threatened to sue him over a small financial dispute. After the event, public opinion of Heemeyer changed drastically. The citizens of Granby described him as a monster who attacked and harmed their beautiful town. However, outside of the town of Granby, there was a much different story being told. To many outside of Granby, Marvin was a hero of the people. He was a man who stood up against an oppressive government. He was a reasonable man who was pushed to being unreasonable by the constant disrespect from the town of Granby.
Was this a case of a man who overreacted to everyday hardships, or was he a hero of the people that took a stand against oppressive government?